So what is the average prison time served by someone nicked for carrying a knife? The answer is only 8 weeks.
That's right, the average time served for carrying a concealed knife is just 8 weeks. That's the ones that get sent to jail, because the average sentence is only 15 weeks to start with, and when you factor time off for good behaviour and calls to free up jail space, you can be out in almost half that. You're watching The Right Stuff with Richard Farley, Shirley Galati and special guest Lewis Emmerich. Still to come this morning, don't use your mobile in the loo, or maybe you think it's fine to talk through business while doing the business. 0207 173 5555 is the number to dial. But first, is hard time the answer to soaring levels of knife crime? Rather than cautions and friendly chats with plod, is it time to play hardball and start banging people up with serious lengths of time with no prospect of early release? And there's no reason for saying this other than, well, basically I've been doing my own survey of North Londoners and knives, and this is what I've discovered. For starters, it's not just kids. A lot of people my age carry knives, which I was quite surprised by, and I think, as we all know, a lot of young people do as well. But the one thing that everybody seems to have in common is absolutely no fear of the law regarding blades whatsoever. And people I used to think of as quite sensible have told me they carry a knife because they feel they need to, because the streets are so dangerous. And so I asked them, well, would you still carry one if you knew you'd face an automatic 5-year jail sentence, no parole if you were caught? And you know what they all said? No, they wouldn't. So that's the problem solved. Except they all then said, that isn't going to happen. Our prisons are too full and our justice system's too soft. Something like 60,000 people a year fall victim to knife crime. 1 in 4 boys under 16 supposedly carries one. And the worst punishment most of those kids will face if caught is a telling off, at a time when a teenager dies almost every week as a result of a stabbing. I don't think that's good enough. Oh, my word, I am starting to sound like that terrible man in The Sun who wants to string everyone up. He's talking about an automatic life sentence. Life for anyone caught with a knife. And I can see, you know, problems with 5 years. I can see problems with life. I mean, what if it's an 8-year-old caught with a tiny and seemingly innocuous penknife? Or what if you're a camera operator here, carrying a sort of, you know, one of those multi-tools? Or buying cutlery from a department store? So we are going to have to differentiate one type of knife from another. But would 5 years hard time end knife crime? Amy hit the streets of Islington, North London, just a stone's throw from where Ben Kinsella was stabbed to death on Sunday morning, to find out.
Well, for the way the streets are going right now and the way that the knife crime and street crime is raised in the system, in every area from north, south, east and west, that it is a good idea that they should get a mandatory sentence of 5 years for carrying a concealed weapon.
They should get like probation or something like that, but not 5 years.
Yeah, I agree with what he's saying. 5 years is quite a lot, but it only depends on the situation.
If they use them as a weapon, then there's no doubt they should lock them up, no doubt about it.
I think they should, because they're actually taking other kids' lives, and that's somebody's daughter and son.
If someone gets 5 years and they do the whole time, then that will be changes and all that, I reckon. I think so.
Interesting stuff, isn't it? It's not, people are not just saying, oh, no, 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 no. I think there is a feeling that we should get tough on people. Shobna, do you think so?
Well, I think so. It's just what they were talking about was concealed weapon. How do we know when a child's got a knife that it is a you know?
Well, let's say you go through one of the metal scanners that they're using on the undergrounds in London now, okay, and you are found to have a serious blade stuffed down the back of your trousers. Yeah. Are we going to say, well, you know, that's awful, you shouldn't do it, go home and don't do it again? Or if you say, right, off to court. Right, if you're found guilty of this, it's 5 years. No parole, 5 years.
Well,
and if you then go out your front door thinking that's what I might get, you're not going to be an idiot and carry a knife, are you?
That's it. Yeah, I think there's just got to be some kind of differentiation about the blades and how, you know...
That's the problem,
That's the problem. You know, because if you are carrying a whacking great kitchen knife down the back of your pants, then obviously you've got
But a penknife?
I don't know.
What about I'm driving fishing and I carry my little penknife?
Well, yes, the camping knives, cutting, all of that. My son has a knife for camping, and that lives in his room for when he goes camping.
So we've got to differentiate. Yeah. How can we do that?
How do we differentiate?
I don't know. Richard, what do you think? Do you think hard time is the answer, first of all?
You know, it's a really... I mean, that's absolutely terrible, isn't it? Would you say 1 in 4? Mm. I mean, 1 in 4. I mean, this is a civilised country. I mean, that is just incredible, isn't it? Mm. I mean, if you think about that for a moment, I mean, no wonder kids are getting stabbed. If you've got 1 in 4 kids walking around with a knife.
People are taking knives, and the most shocking person of all I spoke to was 37 years old, right? Nice bloke, got his own business, right? Lovely guy, carries a knife. When he told me, I was like, you what? And he says,
Why does he
because
carry it?
it's dangerous out there, and I want to be able to protect myself. That's what he said. And he's not a fool. And I said, but you know, if you get a knife out and you end up stabbing someone to death...
people are carrying knives because other people are carrying
Yeah,
knives.
yeah.
So, you know, maybe they have to do what apparently worked in New York, and it's basically zero tolerance,
Yeah.
which is what we're talking about,
Yeah.
and just hit it really hard, because 1 in 4, it's like
And does it matter if then people who would otherwise lead blameless lives start getting locked up for 5
Well,
years?
you're going to have a problem.
Is that
If you implement that policy, you are going to have a problem, because you're going to have kids who might be innocent, you're going to have the prisons full
If they've
of
got a
young
knife,
kids.
are they innocent, though? If they've got a knife and they're walking around in an urban area...
There will be a lot of kids in prison. There'll be you know, stories of this kid was going fishing. There'll be
Is
all
that the
sorts
price
of
we had?
things.
I'd rather we had kids in prison
You'll have to
than
pay
dead
that price.
people lying in streets.
Because you know...
It would be a deterrent, though. I mean, it would be a deterrent. You wouldn't carry around, then, a general pocket knife, then, would
No,
you?
you'd think
Because
long
you'd
and
think
hard
long and
about it.
hard before you put it in
Well, it
your
worked in
pocket.
New York, you know, that sort of zero tolerance.
What do you reckon, Lewis? You up for it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're talking some of the images that we've seen these last couple of weeks of the families of victims, and it needs something that strong to come in to do that. I mean, I think Brooke Kinsella's or herself or some of her family suggested maybe some sort of national service, maybe.
Yeah, they talked about national service. They also said in my local paper, Camden Gazette, 10 years as a mandatory sentence.
Maybe it could be, if it's 5 years, that they do a year or a split in prison, and then maybe into national service, because you know the arm is a stretch to the max.
Yeah.
But I think for this generation, you need that. What I would like to see now is education for police and maybe former offenders to go into primary school, because that's where you've got to hit them from the age of 7, and talk to them kids, show them images of what a stab wound looks like, let them see, so that hopefully, we're only talking 5 years down the line. If you're talking to a 7-year-old now, by the time they're 12, because that's when they're going to be carrying them, maybe even younger. Maybe then we rescue from that generation.
I'm all for starting young, but there is a problem right here and right now. And
that's why I'm saying right here, right now, the 5 years for me would happen.
Go for it.
I'd hit, because this generation of between 12, 13 to 16, 17, you've got to hit them now. Of course, there's going to be little problems, but it's got to be strong.
I've talked before, in a country like Dubai, and there are a lot of downsides in Dubai, the fact that it's virtually built on next thing to slave labour, as far as I can see. But it is an amazing place. There are these draconian, unflinching sentences for seemingly trivial offences. They're carried out against everybody. You know, I left a camera in a bar. The next day I went back, my camera was on the bar where I left it. Nobody took it. Because if you did, you'd be locked away and probably come back without your hands. I don't know whether they cut people's hands off there or not. They certainly lock you up for drink driving. You're locked up automatically. Drugs, you're locked up automatically. So maybe, but I don't want to live in a country like that, but maybe locking people up for 5 years without parole is the way to deal with knives. Let's hear what you have to say, Amy.
We seem to have quite a united view, actually, but we're going to go to Rosaline on line 2.